Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be doing a video about the care, feeding, all the necessities of taking care of an Asian forest scorpion. I've had him for about a year. I'm really enjoying him. I figured out a whole bunch of nice tips. I don't hold them that much. A lot of people hold them. I just don't want to risk getting stung or infecting him. So pretty much this will just be a care video. I'm going to have him inside the tank for most of the video. There'll just be a shot of the tank. At the end you'll get to see him. I just don't want to take him out. That'll stress him out and it's not fair to him. So without further ado, let's get on with the care video. Okay, so housing wise, you're going to want about a 10-gallon aquarium. I use an Enclosure aquarium. Unless you have a mister, I don't recommend using one of these or any other tank with a screen top. You're definitely going to need a top because these guys are pretty good climbers. They can't really climb on glass, but if you have a screen side, there's going to be two bad things about it pretty much. One is that you need a lot of humidity, and it's really not that great for humidity unless you have a mister. It's going to let a lot of the humidity in the air out, so I really recommend having a fully glass enclosed enclosure. And also they could climb the sides, and they could climb using they could climb on the mesh or the screen, and you really don't want one of these guys escaping. So 10 gallons would usually be good, but just make sure it's fully glass enclosed. And I would always recommend an Enclosure tank, but in this case I would probably go with a normal tank that you could just get at Petco. For the food and water, I give him crickets, mealworms, sometimes waxworms, and never cockroaches. Cockroaches, even dubia roaches, have pretty hard exoskeletons, and as I mentioned earlier, they don't have the best digestive system, and they are fully insectivorous, so don't go around giving them fruit. They definitely won't even try it. So make sure, if you're going to get one of these guys, you make sure that you have a healthy supply of crickets. Make sure you live near a Petco, or maybe you could breed crickets. It seems to be pretty hard. I actually breed my crickets, but it's very, very strenuous. I haven't had that much luck, but right now I have a pretty good colony of pinheads. But as I said, these guys are insectivorous, and I feed them waxworms, crickets, and mealworms, and that seems to be a pretty good diet. I vary it up. I don't give them too much superworms. I will give them superworms a little bit, but usually I just feed them crickets and occasional waxworm, not many superworms, and never, as I said, never cockroaches. So that's pretty much it for eating wise, feeding wise. I do it about every 2 days. Every 2 days I put in 2 crickets. These guys don't eat much. I've actually never seen this guy eating, but I know he's eating because he's staying healthy, staying very active, and I do see the crickets disappearing. Enclosure wise, I use rocks and cork bark. As I said, I give some cover and peat moss. I have a very shallow water dish. Actually, he's drinking out of it right now, which is pretty cool. I don't really get to see that much. He seems to spend a lot of his time under the birch wood, but it's a relatively low budget enclosure, and if you just want a starter pet, they do sting, but it's about as bad as a bee sting. It might swell a little bit, but you won't need medical attention or anything. Maybe just put some, I don't know, Neosporin, some ice on it, and that should stop the swelling. That's pretty much what I do for these guys. Very low budget, as I said earlier, and an overall easy to care for enclosure. Temperature and lighting wise, I keep the enclosure about 75 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit with the humidity of about 78 to 84%. I provide an under tank heat pad on one side of the tank for my scorpion. You always want a hot and a cool side. It seems to be working pretty well. The humidity isn't really staying that high, so as I said earlier, I'm probably going to get a humidifier or a mister. But besides that, that's pretty much what I use for these guys. It's pretty standard and just seems to be working pretty well. But as I said, the humidity is so important with these guys, so just make sure that you're keeping the humidity levels really high and really on target. Substrate wise, I use peat moss, potting soil, and a mixture of eco earth. It seems to be working pretty well. I also have some springtails in there. It doesn't really matter that much with these scorpions. He seems to like it a lot. I also put some crushed up bark, some crushed up birch bark, and that's pretty much all. I give him a few little hiding spots with the bark. He seems to like it a lot, but it's really not that important. I've also used sphagnum moss sometimes, but that's pretty much it for the substrate. Pretty much anything. You might be able to use coconut fiber. I don't really recommend it. It's a little small for these guys and they could end up chewing it, and they really do not have a very good digestive system at all. So as I said, peat moss, potting soil, or eco earth usually works pretty well as a substrate. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of my more relatively short videos. I'll be coming out on a care guide for Madagascan hissing cockroaches soon. Sorry for the long pause in uploading. I've been very busy with school, and that's pretty much about it. So remember to like and subscribe and come back for my next video. For now, it's Nathan's Nature TV signing out.